So we're back today in another video in the basics series. We've talked a bit about what type of doctor you should see for your joint pains, how you might be able to be referred for joint pains to a rheumatologist, and how you can prepare. Now this video is quite similar to the how you can prepare video, but it's really focused on getting the most out of the consultation on the day. So if you haven't watched the video on how to prepare, then I'd suggest going back and having a look at that video. That might be helpful, but we will cover much of that information in today's video. So in advance of the consultation, we discussed previously how it's really useful to try and condense down your story. Doctors will refer to that as the medical history, and there's a pretty set template that we tend to ask about. It starts with, what are your main symptoms? Is it pain? Is it stiffness? Is it fractures? Is it rashes, mouth ulcers? Whatever it might be, you might have a top 1 or 2, maybe you've got the top 5 symptoms. It's useful if you can to try and rank the number of symptoms you've got, because if there's 25 symptoms, it's hard to know which of those is going to be the most important to focus on, and how much time you're going to get to run through each of those symptoms is going to be limited if the list is incredibly long. With each of those symptoms, we like to delve in more detail. So, for example, pain, it's about where is the pain, does the pain move anywhere, describing the pain, ranking the intensity of the pain, detailing the timings of the pain and what makes it better and worse, what you've tried to help the pain, and anything else that comes on with the pain, so redness, stiffness, heat. And we tend to kind of focus on one piece of the medical story, we go into detail, and then we put that to one side and we move on to the next symptom and do the same thing. The doctor may then ask you a series of screening questions. These are short, sharp questions. Have you ever had X? Have you ever had Y? And those are about related conditions that might push us to consider what's called a seronegative arthritis, or a connective tissue disease, or a vasculitis, or so on and so forth. And you might get asked questions about whether you've had problems in any of the other organ systems. So do you have blood pressure problems, or do you have gut problems, and so forth. Finally, asking about your personal background is likely. So what job do you do? Do you have a family? Do you smoke? Do you drink? Don't be surprised if the rheumatologists ask you personal questions, including questions about sexual relationships and last sexual encounters, whether that was protected or unprotected. These do have a relevance, and it's not just the doctor being nosy. So getting that story down is important, and it would be sensible, if you have time before the appointment, to perhaps just write it down, type it down. It's very easy on the day when perhaps things have been a bit stressful, maybe traffic was bad, maybe you're nervous for the appointment. It's very easy to forget all of the little details and then walk out the appointment and kick yourself for not going through that one thing you wanted to get out of the day. Same with medicines. It surprises me sometimes how often people are taking a long-term medicine but have no idea what it is, what the name is, what the dose is. And perhaps that's because I come from the medical side. I have a huge interest in that. But it's really helpful if you've got it written down somewhere. Maybe it's on your phone, maybe you've taken the pill boxes with you, or you could simply add the medicines you take and the allergies that you have on that sheet about why you've come to see the doctor that day. So when you're actually in the consultation room, it makes sense to think that the consultation is entirely about you, the patient. But it might surprise you that there's more than one agenda in a typical consultation. So in terms of your agenda, doctors tend to inquire about that and tend to look at that in 3 particular questions. So we want to think about, has there been anything that's cropped up in your head that you think might be causing this? What are your ideas about what this might be? If you've gone on ChatGPT, if you've done a Google search, has a friend of yours told you it's probably fibromyalgia? Because if we know what you're concerned about, then we might be able to then relate our explanation back to your concerns. So sometimes patients will come and see me and they have a huge fear about cancer. And I wonder, where's that come from? And then it transpires that a relative has had bone cancer at a young age. So it's useful to know what your ideas are. The next thing is, are they concerning? Perhaps it's just that you've done some search, but you're not particularly concerned. You may be extremely concerned, and it might be causing you a significant amount of distress. And then finally, what is it you're wanting to get from the consultation? Was it simply that you want to put this idea to rest? Did you have a specific scan or blood test you wanted to discuss? Was it because a partner forced you to come today and you felt you had to because otherwise you'd get in trouble? Or are you after a specific treatment? So that's your expectations. So doctors often refer to our patient's agenda as ICE, or the ideas, concerns, and expectations. And hopefully they will get round to asking you about those things. But just in case they don't, then you might want to jot those down so you walk out the consultation with your agenda met. So if you're not the only person who's got an agenda, who else has an agenda? Well, the rheumatologist has an agenda. It might be that you're particularly wanting to get a specific test done, but from a rheumatologist perspective, we are keen to make sure that you don't have an inflammatory disorder. So the agendas may cross over, but it's possible that the agenda that you may have may not be the same agenda as the rheumatologist. And we have a certain duty to make sure that we're investigating all the things that we're concerned about, and also not putting you at too much risk. So you might come in saying, I want a full body CT because I'm worried about this particular condition. I might feel that you need some investigations for that condition, but I may not feel that a full body CT with all the risk of radiation is the right thing to do. So you can see that we don't always have to be on the same page with the agenda. But if there's a disagreement there, hopefully the doctor can explain to you why there may be a mismatch between agendas. Finally, there may be a third agenda, and that might be the referral agenda. So the referral agenda might be, I'm just not sure, I don't know much about this condition, can you help? Or it might be, they are specifically requesting this. So I have to make sure that if I've been referred a patient, I'm contacting back my referring colleague to hopefully address their agenda from an interprofessional perspective. So you can see that sometimes there's more than one person to keep happy from the consultation. Is there anything else you can do to try and help prepare? So I would recommend that, and to get the most out of the consult, I would recommend coming with someone if you can for a first consultation. I would recommend, if you can, not driving yourself in case you end up being offered an injection on the day that might mean it's difficult to drive back. I'd recommend maybe taking a pen and paper so you can write things down if you have concerns or questions, and thinking about any questions you may want to ask on the day. And if someone comes in the room with you, they're an extra pair of ears. So what else could you do? And this one, I would suggest, if you're thinking about this, that you are upfront about it with the consultant. You could ask if you can record the consultation. I personally don't mind if patients want to do that. It's uncomfortable if someone has recorded the consultation without me knowing about it. And the main reason for that is it's easier to have a completely frank and off-the-record discussion if this is not going to be recorded on a word-for-word basis. And sometimes patients bring health matters to me that they don't want immediately transcribed into the medical record for good reason. But it is a consultation that can be lengthy. It can be hard to remember the exact things that were said. Some of my patients have said, my brain fog is really affecting me. I'm not going to remember all of this. Do you mind if I record the consultation? And I'm more than happy for them to do so. And doing that means that if they had a particular question, I'm sure he said something about this, they can go back and re-watch that consultation without having to contact again and saying, look, I can't remember what we discussed. So I hope today's video has given some insights into what might happen in the consultation, how you can make the most of that consultation and come out of it feeling you've benefited from that meeting. If you've got thoughts of your own of things you did to maximize the consultation to your benefit, do feel free to put some suggestions in the comments. And if you found the video has been helpful at all, then give it a like or a share, as it helps with visibility for the channel. Thanks very much.